Hello and welcome back to the Only Accies preview show for this weekend's game against Dunfermline. Before we go on to that though, there are some things to go through. Obviously, first of all, there's the 2-2 draw against Partick Thistle. There's been more rumours circulating this week around transfers, could be losing. Jamie Hamilton, Stuart Taylor saying we've missed out on a few people, and we've been linked tonight as of recording with another striker. So before we go into that, let's talk about Partick Thistle. Brandon, a 2-2 draw, a game that we had kind of mixed feelings about. I spoke to a few Accies fans, some were confident, some not so much, but it ended up being, I would personally say, probably a fair result, if not a bit of a mental game with what happened in it. What were your thoughts on that?
The first half was so boring. We came out very negative, quite defensively shaped, and we just didn't really get going at all. You had rumours circulating that it was going to be a depleted team, which clearly it was a depleted team. In the first half, quite defensive, pretty negative, and then Thistle obviously get the goal just before half time. But then you go into the second half, and it's one of the best halves of football I've probably watched in a long time, if I'm being honest with you. I think over the course of the full game, a draw was probably the right results. There was points in the game where we could have went on and actually won it, but we're on a very shaky nail going into the last sort of 5-10 minutes. They could have steeped it as well. So all in all, the fact we had a depleted squad with so many people out, and we've got a point against a team that a couple of months ago pumped us 6-1 at home. It's a good point, but it could have went either way then.
Yep, and we have seen obviously improvement under Stuart Taylor, especially in the results the last few games. And I believe it was you that said on Twitter that even with a depleted team, to come back twice, and as you said, to get a draw against a team that battered us previously does show there are improvements under Stuart Taylor, both in results and both just in terms of the actual team as well, how much fight there is in that side.
I think saying fight's a great word to use, because we've came back from getting beat, sort of losing positions twice in that game. And if that's the beginning of the season, there's not a hope there we're doing that. You can actually see there's a bit more determination, a bit more grit, and a bit more fight in practically the majority of the players, which is really refreshing to see. And it's good to see that eventually, sort of, as Stuart Taylor said, it would be a sort of work in progress. But that progress has taken place, as we keep mentioning, since John Ranks came in. The results have been massively different. So no, it was a really good second half to watch. Yeah, a couple of my pals actually left at half time. I was regretting that, but no, it was good second half to watch. Good periods in the game where we actually showed what we're capable of in the second half. I think we need to be better in the first half. They realised the set up wrongly, and they realised that it wasn't working, so they've obviously changed it for the better. But if we maybe set up a bit better, then who knows what the result could have been.
And be honest, how nervous were you when we got the penalty? Andy Ryan stepping off. The feeling in the stadium was a bit, oh no, here it comes again.
Oh, it was, and I thought he missed it as well. It's a poor penalty. It's a really poor penalty. But it's just, I don't know what's up with penalties. We just seem absolutely rotten with them. You probably need to quote Scottish Troubles, but if we missed that'd have been 4 penalties in a row that we missed, and surely that's some sort of negative record that would have been. That must, you'd imagine it would be, because I've not heard of that before with much football teams. So no, it was good that Chucky scored. That was his confidence. He did deserve a goal that game, because his work ethic was second to none. And that showed the sort of Chucky that we saw when he was starting the games at the start of the season. So that was good to see. You can maybe say we get lucky, but it was a point's definitely a fair result. And at the end, I was. You asked me about how nervous I was for the penalty. I was even more nervous the last 10 minutes, because they were hitting us a bit hard, and it did look like they were going to eventually get through and get that third.
Oh, thankfully they didn't. As I said at the start, I'd say a draw is probably a fair result. One player that did feature in that game is our love child, Jamie Hamilton. And he's been linked yet again this week with moves away. Now, the names that they're thrown out there, people like Celtic, Aberdeen, Hibs, but then you go into Liverpool and Newcastle. They very much fall into the category of Ronan Hughes to Man United and all that. They fall into those categories for me. But, I mean, Celtic, Aberdeen and Hibs, those aren't unrealistic transfers. It's something that he's been linked with before. He's out of contract, obviously, in the summer. According to the club, him and Lewis Smith have been offered contracts. We obviously know Lewis Smith has taken his. It does look as if we're losing Jamie Hamilton in the summer, no matter what happens. But what do you make of the rumours coming out midweek? Could he be partnering Virgil van Dijk?
Well, if we go look in previous podcasts, I have pretty much said that the sky was the limit for this, for Jamie Hamilton, and I'm not afraid to admit that, despite him perhaps not being at the levels which I thought he would be at this season. I think he'll be the first person to admit himself that he's not really been up to the level in which he probably should do, because we've said it for the first time that he played, although he was getting sent off every other week, you could tell that there was something special with him. He's that sort of modern day centre back, and you never know, he could be partnering with Van Dijk at some point. To be honest with you, the way in which I took from that article was, we've attempted to offer Jamie Hamilton, which we've heard at the beginning of the season, we've heard a few times throughout the season that it is something we've attempted to do. We're now in January, where he can really speak with any club he wants. That article screams out to me, as you say, the club going to a paper and giving them the sort of loan dues to Man U sort of tabloid to try and get Jamie Hamilton in the limelight, so we could perhaps maybe get a bigger fee for him, maybe get a fee for him just now, rather than waiting until the development fee comes around. That's what I took from it. But don't get me wrong, if an English club did come in for him, just because it is a sort of Premier League club, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to get him for less than $500,000, because he's got less than 6 months left in his contract. The development fee will only be that much. He has been with us for a young age, so it will be better than Lewis Ferguson, like you touched on, but it's not going to be a big fee. Mm-hmm. If you're a club and you're getting a player which these English clubs will see anything under $500,000 as peanuts for, then I don't see why they wouldn't sort of go for it, and then maybe loan him out to someone else, get him more experience, maybe loan him back to Aki's, let him develop. So we're always sort of pushed down on the neck that we are a conveyor belt of youth, and we breed these players through, and we nurture them, we then get them in the first team, and then we move them on for the bigger and better things, which we know that, and all fans have sort of, we've understood that for the past years. We're not saying we're this huge, massive club, but see, if you're going to do that, then surely the ones that are your sort of prize assets, if you want to call them that, surely you try and get the most of what you can for them. You should really be attempting to secure them down before you know, like when these players start to show signs that they are going to be one of your prize assets, you sign them down, you tie them down, you give them that bit of extra money, just so that you can then go and make more money than, because we've saw it before. Lewis Ferguson, look at him now. He's a Scottish international. He's getting touted to go to the Premier League for millions of pounds. Peanuts for him. Greg Dockett to get absolute peanuts for him with the Rangers situation. That's the past two probably of our best players we've brought through the youth academy that have went for peanuts, and then it's going to be Jamie Hamilton again that's going to go for nothing, which is so frustrating, because these are players and we're forced it down our neck that this is what we're doing. So if we're doing that, why are we not sort of utilising that to the maximum that it should be? That's the thing that frustrates me the most with it. Nobody's got an issue with playing youth and bringing them through, but when you are going to move them on, surely you should be trying to get the highest you can get for them, rather than not tying them down to deals, not offering them a bit more money and sort of just penny pinching, and then eventually losing them out and getting nowhere near what they should be getting.
Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. As I said on Twitter, we'll get more money than we got with Lewis Ferguson for the development fee, but as you said, it's nothing to what it could have been. You know, when we were in the Premiership, he was getting touted for a £1 million move, possibly more. You know, we were thrown around as well. So really, really frustrating, as you said, when he's one of your kind of best young players that really, really has a high potential, as we spoke about, to be losing him in a situation like this again, not even for the first time this has happened with the club. It's just even more frustrating than anything else. But talk about players coming in this week. Well, players not coming in this week, I should say. We've been fed the line that we get fed almost every transfer window, that we've just missed out, or we had one in on Tuesday and we've just missed out for this reason, for that reason, whatever you want to call it. We're getting that again with Stuart Taylor. According to him, there was a player they pretty much had signed down on Tuesday and it fell through. What do you think that comes down to? Ultimately, in my opinion, it must come down to money. We're not paying anywhere near as much as other clubs, and we know that for a fact. We're sitting mid-table, so it's not even as if we're in a promotion push that we have that to entice players. Ultimately, it comes down to money, in my opinion, and it seems as if we're losing out on targets again to clubs who may not be as big or have as much potential, but are clearly putting more money into it.
We are. Well, it's at the end of the day, it's definitely down to money. It looks as if we're losing players to teams that are nowhere near what we would see ourselves. But like you says, they're offering more money. We're a team that's just been in the Premier League for 7 years. That should have a sway in its own. But the thing that pisses me off the most is when we're constantly fed that line. Do you think when we then go to sign our next player and they're seeing, when players are going to sign for a team, they're not going to do zero research on this team. They're going to look at what's been in the paper recently. They're going to look in the social media channels and see when all you're seeing in the media is that manager saying, "Oh, we've just missed out on this player. We've just missed out." That puts you off. Do you know what I mean? Like, why would you constantly come out and say, "Oh, we've missed out. We've missed out"? It's just, there's nothing positive can come out of that. I don't know if they do this and they come out in the media and say that because the fans are clearly frustrated that we need to sign players, so they're coming out and saying, "Oh, we've just missed out. We are looking, etc." But I just don't see how coming out and say that can benefit anyone. It's a very negative look, and it's just frustrating because we're losing out to these teams that have been in the Championship and League One for so long, and we have been in the Premier League for 7 years. You'd think that, I don't know, it like everybody in social media saying, it just seems like penny pinching to me. We're just trying to sort of scrape the barrel with the lowest sort of offers in which we can offer, which you think would at some point learn from our mistakes, but clearly not. And it's really frustrating. But obviously he's came out and said that, but then as we're doing this, we've actually been linked with someone that we know quite well, and we were linked with last January, if I believe I'm right, before we signed Bruce Anderson, who is a player that last January we also narrowly missed out on because of money. So what's your thoughts on Craig Wighton?
Craig Wighton, I would be happy with. I see a few Accies fans already on Twitter saying that they're not happy with it, but to me, we spoke about midweek. Well, we've obviously got a transfer podcast coming up, so we won't go too much into detail about who we want to bring in, but he is somebody we spoke about before, and he's somebody who we said there is a criteria that Accies kind of have to fit, and that's players that have maybe taken a little bit of a dip in their career and need a bit of a refresh, need a new start, and we can hopefully give them that. And I think Craig Wighton falls into that category pretty well. He's obviously chosen Dunfermline over us. They're currently rock bottom of the table. He's played 15, 16 games, not scored yet this season. He's obviously wanting a way out. Accies are probably the best place for him to get that restart. Now, obviously, he's also been linked with Arbroath, who he has history with before, and obviously they're on a promotion push, but they're obviously part-time. And the article that came out has insinuated that being full-time is a big draw for him. So maybe Accies have the upper hand there, and you would think that we would offer more money than Arbroath. You would think we would offer more money than Arbroath. But again, the draw of promotion back to, like, is that more of a draw? Who knows? I believe he's still contracted to Dunfermline, so we would need to pay a fee, or it would only be a loan.
If it's a loan, it's a shambles.
If it's a loan, yeah. If it's a loan, it's a waste of time, in my opinion. I don't know if his contract runs out at the firm. I don't know if he's got an extra year, but I would hope that if a deal is done, it's a permanent and not just a 6-month loan or whatever. Because as you said, that's no use to us. What do you make of the Craig Wighton rumour?
It's one that back last January I was pretty happy with. As you said, it does fit the criteria of someone that looked promising at a sort of younger age, and there's clearly something there, but we've had a sort of dip for a wee while now. And it's a sort of mould of a striker that actually suits how we play, if we're being honest with you. And we need a striker, put it that way. And if you said to me at the start of January it would be in for Craig Wighton, I wouldn't be surprised, and I would have been happy with it. I'm still happy with it. We've obviously got Ryan and we've got Moyle to come back. If you add Craig Wighton to that, then that's, and Andy Winter when he's back fit, that's good options to have. It's a good bunch of people that I'd be happy with Craig Wighton, but like I said, if it's a loan, it's pointless, because if he comes to us a loan from the team that's rock bottom of the league, and then scores a few goals for us, reignites a bit of form, sort of rejuvenates himself, then Dunfermline are not going to sell him. Do you know what I mean? Or if they were to sell him, it'd be someone else that would come in for him because they saw that he's done well. So if we're going to get him, then in my opinion, we need to actually sign him outright. But that being said, it's Accies, isn't it? So who knows? It'll probably be a lone war between us and Arbroath, and some fucking how Arbroath part-time football will get them before us, which will just, it'll be an absolute neck, but nothing surprises us, does it?
Let's look to this weekend too. We are playing Dunfermline, who, as I said, we've said, are rock bottom of the league without a win in their last 6 games, haven't scored in their last 3, and I'm bigging this up because I don't think we'll win. You know, the way Accies do. Somebody said on Twitter that we've been battered and been rock bottom of the table, and we know how difficult it is. I think it's getting painted as an easy game far too easily for Accies. We know that's never the case. It's never easy, not just for Accies, but in football. I can see this one being a draw, if I'm being honest with you. I think they'll be desperate to get back that 5-0 drumming by Morton last week. They'll be desperate to put that right. Obviously, we're in good form. I think we might go there a bit lax, kind of thinking it will be easy. And as I said, that's never the case. How are you feeling ahead of the game? Are you confident? How are you thinking, given the form of the two teams?
I'm exact same boat as you, mate. Exact same boat. I think you're putting it as they might go there a bit lax. I think that's spot on. I hope it's not. I hope Taylor and I hope Rankin drills it into them that do not be that. Don't be relaxed. Don't fucking take this easy. Although they might have get pumped 5-0 the week before, remember, all of yous were in the exact same boat at the start of the season as well. You need to remember that and how easy it is to get out of that sort of situation. So that's the sort of things that they need to be drilling into the players' heads. Listen, if we go there and we play with the sort of ability in which we have sort of the second half of games, as of recent, then we've got a chance. I think the Queen of South game we were brilliant second half. I think Thistle were brilliant second half. Inverness were brilliant second half. So we are sort of turning on in the second half these days, but we need to start from the start. If we've got any chance of winning it, it's going to be a hard game. They've no won in 6. Yogi Hughes has came out and said that it's the best thing that could have happened to them. So I don't know how to take that. I think it's also been rumoured that Brian Rice is training the players as well.
Assistant manager, I heard that rumour as well.
So that's another thing that maybe he's given me a bit in-depth knowledge. I'm sure he would do that anyway with his best pal Yogi. But it'll be a tough one. Hopefully we've got a few players back. I think that'll make a difference. But you know me, I'm never confident really anyway. So it's going to be a tough one, and I'm the same boat as you. I can see it being a draw.
Yeah, I think, as you said, hopefully we should have a few players back. Lewis Spence, I saw pictured training during the week, so possibly a return for him. Scotty Martin was rumoured to be back sometime soon. We don't know the situation with Marley Redfern. Obviously, he went off with his hamstring. it's been said it's not as serious as it looks, so we don't know if he'll feature. But I can see it being
McDonald's as well.
Keenan McDonald. Yep, absolutely.
Mullen as well.
Mullen was in the stand. Yeah, there was a rumor there was a COVID issue with him, but he was in the stand watching, so obviously I assume it wasn't. But no, as you said, I think it will be. I can see it being pretty much the same setup. To be honest, I can see he's going with the three at the back and the two wing backs. But as you say, let's hope at least we've got a few players back in that can change that up and hopefully improve, especially the midfield. If you were to get your score predictions done for the league table, I'm going to go one each. I'm going to stick with the fact it's a draw. I'm going to go one each, and I'm going to say that it's all looking cozy until the 80th minute, and then Dunfermline get an equaliser. That's what I think.
Well, I was also going to say one each, but I don't feel like I can use the same scoreline.
You can do this and do that if you want.
No, I can, but I don't think me or David have used the same scoreline all season, so I'm going to change it. You know what? Fuck it, 2-1 Accies. Although I've just said all that spiel. You know what? I've not went for an Accies win. When was the last time I went for an Accies win?
Must have been a while ago.
A very long time ago. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Accies win. Fuck it. Why not? Hopefully Yogi Hughes' words come back to bite him, and hopefully we continue to kick on with this reign of form we're on. No doubt I've jinxed us now, but it's going to be a really tough game. But yeah, I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go with Andy Ryan missed penalty, scores the follow-up, and Lewis Smith.
It'd be good to see him get a goal. He's been struggling in the last few weeks. I can tell you David's thoughts just quickly. He says that Pars, a team currently on the floor and vulnerable, we need to be at it from the off and show some dominance in the game. He says anything other than a win is unacceptable, and he's going with 2-0. Yep, he's going with 2-0 Hamilton as his score prediction. And I mean, let's talk about anything other than a win is unacceptable, because, as I said, I think on paper, yes, they are a rock bottom side and on terrible form. But as I said as well, it's never easy in football, especially when you're Accies. And I think they'll be desperate to put right that result they had last week. So I think they'll come out really, really quickly out the blocks and put us under an immense amount of pressure. I can see us wavering a wee bit, if I'm being honest.
I agree, but I'm going to change mine to 2-1 Dunfermline since he's picked Accies. So that's me. I feel better about myself. You can keep in the bit where I said about 2-1 Accies, but I'm going to change it to 2-1 Dunfermline. But no, I agree with David in saying that but a win is acceptable. We're trying to create that sort of gap in which you said between ourselves and the rest of the bottom half of the league. But when you actually dumb it down and you look at the numbers, it's not exactly a gap.
It's not. No.
One result can change everything. You've seen that with Morton and Ayers getting wins last week. I think Queen of the South, they look a bit fucked, if I'm being honest with you. But we really need to, if we saw the results we've got over recent. We're in better form than we were at the start of the season. We're not where we want to be, but we're definitely on a bit better form and we are performing better. So these are the games, if we want to look up rather than down, we need to be winning. You need to be beating teams that are bottom of the league. So I completely agree with David, but I'm going to change mine to 2-1 Dunfermline, which, to be honest with you, I don't see us winning, but I would just try to put a bit of hope in my mind by saying that. So
All right, we've got our score predictions as always. Leave yours in the comments to be involved in the league table. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll speak to you after the game.